Good day, and thank you for watching. If you are involved in trust administration or trust litigation in California, there is one issue that creates enormous tension between trustees and beneficiaries: trustee compensation, because many trustees believe they deserve to be paid for the time, stress, and responsibility involved in managing a trust, while many beneficiaries believe the trustee is taking too much money out of the estate. And once disagreements about compensation begin, family conflict often escalates very quickly. Let's start with the basics. Serving as a trustee is not just an honorary title. It involves real responsibilities: managing financial accounts, handling property, communicating with beneficiaries, paying debts and taxes, maintaining records, and following fiduciary duties. All of those tasks can require significant time and effort. Now, here's the key. California law generally allows trustees to receive reasonable compensation for their work unless the trust document says otherwise. But that single word, reasonable, is where many disputes begin. Now, here's where many trustees make a mistake. They pay themselves informally without proper records, explanations, or transparency, and beneficiaries often discover those payments later through account statements or financial records. That is usually when suspicion begins. Now let's talk about beneficiary reactions. Beneficiaries often already feel emotional, uncertain, or excluded during trust administration. So when they see trustee payments without clear explanation, they may immediately assume misconduct, even if the trustee believed the compensation was justified. Now let's discuss another important issue: family trustees. Many trustees are not professional fiduciaries. They are family members, children, siblings, relatives. And family trustees often struggle balancing personal relationships with fiduciary responsibilities. Now, let's talk about documentation. Good trustees carefully document time spent, tasks completed, financial management activities, and administrative work. Because if compensation is later challenged, records matter enormously. Now, here's another common mistake. Some trustees believe that because they sacrificed personal time or handled stressful family situations, they can compensate themselves however they believe is fair. But emotional frustration is not always the legal standard. Now, let's discuss another issue: professional versus non professional trustees. Banks and professional fiduciaries often have structured fee schedules. Family trustees usually do not. And without structure, disagreements about value and fairness become much more common. Now let's talk about real estate management. If the trust includes rental property or family homes, trustees may spend substantial time handling repairs, insurance, taxes, maintenance, and tenant issues. And disputes often arise regarding whether those efforts justify additional compensation. Now let's discuss another important point: multiple trustees. When more than one trustee serves together, disagreements may arise over workload distribution and compensation allocation. One trustee may feel they handled most responsibilities while another did very little. And those disputes can become personal quickly. Now let's talk about communication. One of the biggest ways trustees reduce conflict is through proactive communication: explaining responsibilities, providing updates, sharing records. Transparency reduces suspicion. Silence increases it. Now, here's where many beneficiaries make another mistake. They underestimate how much work trust administration actually involves. Complex trusts may require months or even years of management paperwork, tax filings, and financial coordination. Now, let's discuss another issue: self-dealing allegations. If trustees use trust funds improperly, mix personal expenses with trust administration, or fail to separate accounts clearly, beneficiaries may accuse them of fiduciary misconduct, and those allegations can become very serious. Now let's talk about accountings. Formal trust accountings often become central evidence in compensation disputes. Beneficiaries may review payments carefully and challenge charges they believe are excessive or unsupported. Now let's discuss another common misunderstanding. Some beneficiaries assume trustees should serve for free because they are family, but trustees may still be legally entitled to reasonable compensation depending on the trust and circumstances. Now let's talk about emotional realities. Trust compensation disputes are rarely just about money. They often involve deeper family issues, resentment, favoritism, old sibling conflict, caretaking sacrifices, and emotional wounds that existed long before the trust dispute began. Now, let's discuss another issue: delays. If trustees take compensation while distributions to beneficiaries remain delayed, frustration often increases dramatically. Beneficiaries may feel the trustee is prioritizing themselves instead of the trust administration process. Now, let's talk about court involvement. Courts reviewing trust disputes may examine whether trustee compensation was reasonable under the circumstances, and organized records communication and professionalism become extremely important. Now, let's discuss another misconception. Some trustees believe beneficiaries have no right to question compensation decisions, but fiduciary duties often involve accountability and transparency. Now, let's talk about prevention. Many compensation disputes could be reduced through clearer trust drafting, organized administration, professional accounting practices, and regular communication with beneficiaries. Now, let's discuss another important point: tax implications. Trustee compensation may carry tax consequences, reporting requirements, and accounting obligations, and improper handling can create additional complications. Now, let's talk about neutrality. Trustees who appear defensive, secretive, or dismissive often increase the likelihood of litigation. Professional conduct matters significantly during administration. Now, let's look at the bigger picture. Trustee compensation disputes sit at the intersection of fiduciary law, family relationships, financial management, and emotional conflict. And because expectations differ so dramatically between trustees and beneficiaries, disputes are extremely common. Finally, let's talk about expectations. Not every compensation disagreement becomes litigation, but lack of records, poor communication, unexplained payments, and emotional family conflict dramatically increase the risk of legal escalation. Understanding trustee duties and compensation principles early can help families avoid much larger disputes later. In conclusion, trustee compensation disputes in California often arise when beneficiaries question whether trustees are paying themselves fairly, reasonably, and transparently. These conflicts frequently involve fiduciary duties, financial records, communication breakdowns, and family tension. And understanding how trustee compensation is evaluated is critical in navigating trust administration properly. If you are dealing with trustee disputes, beneficiary conflicts, accounting issues, or trust litigation concerns, understanding your rights and responsibilities is extremely important. Call us at 888 6582. I'm Vince Davis, and we are all in this together.